Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with duck fat, green garlic, home fries. That's right, we're cooking potatoes in duck fat. Why? Because it's one of the most delicious fats you will ever use. So I was lucky enough to have in my possession a nice handful of duck skin. Now, if you read the blog post, I'm going to give you a couple hints how to get some duck skin. But anyway, I had a handful. I threw it in a dry pan on medium-low heat. So I'm going to slowly render out the fat, which is going to do two things for me. One, I'm going to get a couple tablespoons of perfect rendered duck fat that I can fry my potatoes in, which, as you will see, does a great job of frying potatoes. But I'm also going to get a nice pile of crispy, super flavorful, crunchy duck skin. While that's happening, don't just stand there and watch your duck fat. Take some potatoes. Pretty much anything works. I'm using russet here. If you use red potatoes, they just don't get quite as crusty because they have a little more of a waxy texture than a starchy texture. Cut them in chunks about that size. All right, rinse them, drain them, and those are going to go in that duck fat in a few minutes. Okay, so my potatoes are prepped. Back to the pan. My duck skin is just about ready. How can I tell? It looks ready. It's crispy. I can feel it with my wooden spoon. So at that point, I'm going to remove from the pan. I'm going to leave all the fat in the pan. I'm just going to remove and drain the duck skin. In fact, drain it right over the pan. I didn't show that step, but basically I just want to remove the skin. Okay, so the skin you can just put on a paper towel to drain a little bit, and you can see all that fat left in the pan ready for potatoes. All right, so in go our potatoes. Turn the heat up to medium-high. Salt and pepper generously. I'm going to give those a toss. And you know sometimes I blanch my potatoes, parboil them before I make home fries. Here I'm going to skip that step. I'm actually going to use a lid to steam the potatoes, which just means give them a toss, put the lid on, let them cook for 3 or 4 minutes, give them another toss, put the lid back on, steam them until they're tender. While those are cooking, I'm going to prep some green garlic. A very cool vegetable. Yes, it's young garlic. It sort of tastes like a cross between leeks and garlic. It actually has the texture of leek. It's going to have to cook and soften up a little bit. Normally, I just use the white for a dish like this and save the green for a soup or something. But here, I couldn't resist. I kept chopping, and I went too far. But that's okay. That's cooking. So no problem. You just got to make sure you cook it. By this point, my potatoes are getting tender. So I'm going to remove the lid. And without the lid on, I'm going to crisp those up before I add my onions. There's no real time I can give you. Just keep tossing, moving them, turning them, and tossing them until they're well browned and they look kind of like that. You hear that? They're getting crispy. At that point, I'm going to add in my green garlic, give it a toss. And like I said, the green parts of green garlic are fairly tough, like a leek. So I'm going to put the lid back on. I'm going to let it cook covered for a couple minutes just to soften it up a little bit. Then I'm going to take the lid off and finish the rest of the way, no lid. And when the onions are basically dissolved into the potatoes and sort of disappear, all right, you'll see little pieces, but they'll be soft. And the potatoes are tender and crusty, we're ready to eat. All right, I'm going to transfer that to my serving platter. And then, believe it or not, it gets better. You remember that duck skin we got all crispy earlier? That's right. That's going over the top, which puts this over the top. See what I did there? Okay. And to wrap up this recipe, what am I supposed to say? Look at it. How's that not going to taste amazing? All right, let me get a forkful here. I got me some potato. I got me some green garlic. That is like a perfect bite. There's no way that bite gets any more perfect. There's nothing I could do to that bite to make it any better. Except another piece of duck skin. Oh my God. All right, I have to go. And by the way, don't tell me this is all unhealthy because I'm using duck fat. Go do some research, learn about duck fat and its properties, then come back and tell me it's not healthy. And then I will disregard your comments. All right? It's actually not bad for you. So anyway, I hope you give that a try. Go to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts, all 3 of them. And as always, enjoy.